Golden Black Radio is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store. Shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Lafayette location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome to our goldenblack.com Saturday night simulcast following Washington's 49-13 win. Thank you. I'm going to thank all of you for taking the time to join us after this one. Hard to stay awake down the stretch for this one, to say the least, as Purdue gets hammered in Seattle 49-13. All right, we want to thank our sponsors for tonight: Union Club Hotel at Purdue, an autograph collection retreat blends student-run hospitality with resort luxury. Enjoy the spa, Boiler House, Prime Dining, and Burke Boilermaker Golf. Perfect for the wellness and Purdue fans, as well as leisure seekers. Our property offers serene escapes. Book your getaway today. And also, Nate Barrett is with Purdue Radio Crew and probably running to the airplane to come back to Lafayette tonight, so he's not with us tonight. But thanks to our friends at Twin City and Chariot Automotive Group, serving Greater Lafayette with the best new and used Jeep selection at TwinCitySuperstore.com. All right, Dub Jellison is joining me. Combat Pay is up going, though I think Mr. Dienhart actually being out there may have the worst of it. I don't know what to say, and even Barry Odom in postgame radio didn't know what to say either, Dub. I mean, you had some chances early to change the narrative of the football game, no question. I mean, you had a couple mistakes, fumble recover early, short fields. Purdue could not convert. Ryan Brown was not good, to say the least, or at least the passing game was. I don't know if it's all on Ryan, but just your initial thoughts of watching this one. Just a tough one for Purdue and not a step forward, certainly, in that loss.
Yeah, I thought, both sides of the ball looked just uninspired by the end of the game, or for the majority of the game, right? Because I think the defense did come out pretty solid, getting 2 stops against a really good offense, an offense that was kind of reeling after, only scoring 10 points against Wisconsin the week prior. So I thought that was your opportunity. Like you said, that was their opportunity to get some momentum, and Purdue had their opportunities on offense to take advantage of some of those miscues of Washington, with the 2 failed 4th down conversions. In a game like this, going up against a team in Washington that plays very well at home, you have to steal momentum. You have to swing the pendulum in your favor early in the game and try to take the crowd out of it. Purdue just couldn't do that. I think, you look at those 3 miscues, the 2 turnover on downs, and then the Ryan Brown interception. Washington scores 21 points off of those. And then, that's kind of all she wrote from there. I don't think Purdue is competitive from that point forward. And then, you look at the offense for 2.5 quarters, they didn't do anything. And then they were able to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit. But, how much of that can you really kind of hang your hat on when you're down 35-0? It's just a matter of, UW kind of taking their foot off the gas a little bit, and Purdue maybe getting some confidence down the stretch. But, Malachi Singleton moved the ball a little bit later in the game, but by then it was far too little, far too late.
Well, you just can't, stating the obvious here, and this, you cannot do what Purdue did and have those opportunities early. You're a heavy underdog anyway. I don't know. Spencer Tillman kept talking about how hard Purdue's playing. Yeah, maybe they did. I think defensively did, but just like I said, it was an uninspiring performance in so many ways. And really, when the game was being contested, I'm just looking at some of the numbers here in the first half. Purdue gets 103 total yards. Washington 271. I know Purdue ends up with 267. Not that that's all that great, but my point is, when the game's being contested, you're running or not being able to do anything offensively at all. And then Washington just it steamrolled on them on the big plays. I mean, without question, they just they made they all of a sudden they scored in bunches, and that's the thing where, again, the thing that's tough about it for you have Jordan Washington's 68-yard rush and a couple long pass plays in there, and all of a sudden the game it was 7-0 into the second quarter. But from the 9:07 mark in the second quarter to a 2-minute period, it went from the final 9 minutes of the second quarter. Of course, Washington scores 21 points and turns the game into a rout, and that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, and those big plays that you talked about, they've kind of been a thorn in the side of Purdue all year. I thought prior to the Ohio State game, I thought they had kind of made strides in that area. And then you look at today or tonight, we're giving up two touchdowns of 60-plus yards. You can't have that. I think that's just a complete breakdown of the defense, and I know that Mike Shear is not going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
When we talk to him in about a week and a half, we won't get to talk to him on Monday. We'll get to talk to him and Josh Henson and Barry Odom heading into the Indiana game. But I mean, I thought it was interesting from the start, seeing how Purdue was going to alternate the quarterbacks. Ryan Brown got the first series, and then Malachi Singleton got a couple, and then they kind of flip-flopped. And by the end of the game, they were rolling with Singleton, which I thought was the right decision. Just with what we saw out of Ryan Brown tonight, and what we've kind of seen out of Ryan Brown the last 4 or 5 games. It's been kind of uninspiring, and I think this offense as a whole, and Ryan Brown included, they've kind of regressed a little bit. And I know the competition's gotten a lot better. You faced the number 1 defense in the country in Ohio State, faced another really good defense in Michigan. Washington's defense is still really good as well. So I know the competition is getting heightened, but you would like to see some sort of progress out of the offense in particular, and I just feel like they've regressed over these last 4 or 5 games.
Even our photographer, Chad Kroc over here, who takes great images, more and more it seems like a lack of talent issue in the coaching team. What do you guys think? Buy a big-time quarterback for next year? I think that's going to be a big debate in the offseason, and a good, fair question, because there's more to it than that, but you're right. Ryan Brown, who I think really you had to feel like he was the guy 3 or 4 weeks ago, but the fact is they're not doing. And I know the talent level has, or the talent of the opposition has improved without question, but it's just how it's getting done, and like you said, there's just no. It's a bad combination because he doesn't have any receivers for the most part that can separate themselves consistently, or they can separate themselves and then they have troubles catching the football, and it all snowballs this time. But there's going to be a lot of evaluation. I mean, there's been questions here on here about. Might be a question for midweek instead of post game, but do you expect Odom to look for a new OC? I'm going to tell you right now, if Dub or Tom asks that question next Monday, you won't get an answer to it. I'm going to tell you how that's the way these things work. I think Tom has hinted that there'll probably be some switches in the coaching staff, and we'll probably know about that sooner than later. That would not be surprising. And I would say this: that in any situation that anything is possible in today's world. I mean, I think that Barry Odom's a pretty loyal guy, but. If you can get a quarterback here and there's some things attached to it, that's conjecture, but Purdue obviously needs to improve its talent level. It's going to finish, barring a miracle of monumental proportion, going to finish 2-10, probably finish with 3 consecutive lopsided losses. But this one was really disappointing. I mean, Dub, you can't, at 49-13, it's just, I thought after this game started and it was 7-0 again with 9 minutes to go in the second quarter, we might see a 21-10 game, that type of deal. But then it just completely snowballed, and you've outlined that. I mean, you look at recruiting, you look at all that. Dub, you got to have continuity, and there's just going to be some tough decisions for the head football coach as he moves forward, and for Brandon Lee and the player personnel. They're going to have to put the right pieces of the puzzle together to find a way to be competitive.
Yeah. So I guess to start, I think Tom and I kind of expect there to be some movement with the staff. To what extent, I don't know. The quarterback aspect of this offseason is going to be very interesting because kind of going up until today, it felt like Barry Odom and Josh Henson were rolling with Ryan Brown as their guy, and kind of treating him as a first-year starter, which he is, right, and kind of building him for the future. Now you bring in Malachi Singleton to take the lion's share of the snaps. I'll be interested to see what the snap count says on Pro Football Focus tomorrow.
Sure. I think Singleton had more, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 2/3. Yeah.
I just don't know how many Brown had. I'm sure I can look it up on the play-by-play. But is it a changing of the guard? Is Purdue, maybe having second thoughts about Ryan Brown being their guy for the future? I don't know. That's something that I think will be very interesting over the next month or so. Leading up into the portal opening up. But, I think this offseason is going to be really key for Purdue and Barry Odom in particular. I think they're going to be a little bit more targeted with which guys they go after and at which spots. I think they have an idea of which guys they like and kind of the core group that they want to bring forward into 2026. So I think last year was a lot of just filling out the roster and getting that done. I would think that this year they'll be a little bit more targeted, and they saved a lot of money because I think people don't really understand is the rev share money goes from it's either July to July or August to August, whenever it started.
July to June, I believe. July 1 to June 30th.
Exactly. So that's where you have to spend your money, and there's no carryover. So Purdue had to save money from the past portal period to use this upcoming portal period in 2020, January 2026. So they still got a lot of cash left. We'll see how they spend it. And I think when you look at rev share, it's not necessarily going to be about the money. It's going to be how you spend it.
No doubt.
If you look back at the previous regime, they had a lot of guys making some serious money, and none of them really contributed. So I think it's about who you pay and whether or not that they can come in and start from day one and really contribute. So that's going to be a big thing. And it's I think it's still going to be wild. I don't think, they'll add as many guys as they did last year, but it's going to be fun. Knucklehead Central is going to be well entertained in early January.
Yeah, it will be. And your portal period's going to be busy. And like you said, it's going to be as much about how they spend their money, what they focus on. And, a lot of people want answers with how all this works. And there is no disclosure of how much is, there's a lot of conjecture of what that is and what it's going to take. As we've said before and talked many times, makes it even tougher when your old Oak and Bucket opponent is rolling at 11-0 and ranked second in the country, and they're going to come in probably a 33 point favorite in the game, at least in Ross-Ade Stadium, which will be an all-time record. So, those are all factors that just make it harder. I thought, Barry Odom was at least being honest. At least on radio, and we'll see if we get Tom on here in a couple minutes. But in terms of if there was anything else, Tom, I think, is the only media out there. So may have had him one-on-one, at least from a Purdue perspective. And it'll be interesting to see what Tom gleaned from that discussion. But, Barry was honest about, I didn't have any answers. I don't have answers right now. And yes, I think he's fully aware that he's paid to have answers. He said before the season, we're here to win now. Coaches have to be optimistic. And I still think he'd feel a little bit better about it. We've said this every week, and people probably get tired of hearing me saying it, is you would feel a little different had you being Purdue, won the couple of those games you should have won. They didn't. and this is what you're dealt with. So that's going to make it extra hard. I mean, there's no doubt. It's going to affect fan interest coming in next year. You've got all those factors in. Yeah, you're going to have Notre Dame. They have Notre Dame on a home schedule next year. And just making sure they open up with Indiana State. I know that, and Wake as well. So this is it's not going to get any easier, and it'll be interesting to see also how he handles the next 2 weeks, just because again it's still that figuring out process of getting the right folks on the bus, and we may hear, there's been some talk that we'll hear of some commitments of current guys in the next week or so in this bye week. But that really brings that to question too, is you really got to be honest with yourself, evaluating who you have and can they help you down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the name of the game, I think he talked about it last week or this past week, if I'm remembering correctly, just about retaining the guys that you have. And I think that's something that Tom's talked about for a while now, is it's whether or not Purdue can keep their guys. If Purdue could have kept Dylan Thieneman and Will Held and Cole Brevard and Mac Clare and those guys, I think that's what you got to do if you're a team like Purdue. You're not going to go out and get the top flight guys in the portal necessarily. I think you can have some wins in the portal, but I think Purdue is going to be a program that it kind of relies on homegrown guys that you develop over 3, 4, 5 years and can contribute for you. And that boils down to money at the end of the day. But I think that's what Purdue is going to have to do, and I think they have an idea of the core group of guys that they want to retain and kind of take into 2026. And you look at some of the younger guys on the roster.
You've talked about the sophomores. Maybe go into that a little bit more. Ones that you look at that are sophomores that if you're looking at it realistically, take tonight's game out of it. You almost have to. Because it was a bad performance, clearly. But you got to build with something. But talk about that sophomore class, some of the ones that you think.
Yeah, I mean, you look up and down the roster. There's quite a few that have kind of broken. I don't want to say broken out, but kind of flash their potential. I think you look at Chops Harkless and Ian Jeffries at defensive tackle. Both of those guys are guys that the staff has spoke glowingly about. Braden Joyner, I think he's been their best offensive lineman, the center from Auburn that transferred in the offseason. You look at guys like D'Amico Kennedy, Charles Correa, who's really flashed in his first year as a full-time starter. You got Nitro Togo and Corey Smith. I know they've had drop issues, but they're two guys that I think have a lot of potential and a lot of talent. It's just about harnessing that and getting them to be more consistent. You look on the back end like Smiley Bradford. That's a guy that's really taken the next step, or taken a big step, I should say, this year, and is really taking hold of that nickel spot. And then Hadari Hines as well. He's a guy that I think the staff is really trusting. I know he hasn't been as consistent as people may like, but he's a guy that I think has a lot of talent as well. And then the guy that we haven't really gotten a chance to see yet, but maybe the most talented guy on the roster, George Burhan. For him, it's just about getting healthy again, and I think if he can stay healthy, we're going to see special things out of him. But through 3 years, we haven't really seen him on the field all that much. So I still think there's a lot of talent in that current sophomore class, and a lot of guys where if they continue their development, could be big pieces in next year or in 2027 if they stick around.
Yeah, some of the numbers tonight, and Correa had 3 tackles. Manny Powell led Purdue in tackles with 9. But the statistic and again, I understand the kind of run passing game that Washington runs with the dual threat, but 1 quarterback hurry and 1 sack. Manny Powell had the 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, or 4 tackles for loss in the game. That's problematic. But Taj Rael had 7 tackles CJ Nunnally. What's his stat? Nunnally is what's his class? Is he still? Yeah, so he's done, right? Yeah, and he certainly has flashed well. They had 2 tackles for loss tonight. Miles Slusher, who had the key penalty at the wrong time as well, had 5 stops as well. But you're right; they've got to find guys that can get the job done. Get everybody some of the guys they lost this year, and Lindsey on down the line, the guys that can come back and figure that out. And they're the ones. I mean, you guys have been in practice a lot, but they're living with them every day. Mm-hmm. We know, even though it's not worked out this year, we do know that Barry Odom had success, knew how to put rosters together at UNLV. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, the situation probably a little bit different here, just because the timing and all of that. But it did not work out to the level that he wanted. But yeah, I think it's going to give you a lot of things to talk about in terms of quarterback play, which is stating the obvious. You're going to have to find probably some more consistency at running back, though I don't know if that's really was obviously with Devin Maccabee's done, but you got guys that Harris had 10 rushes today for 23 yards. Malachi Thomas only carried the ball 6. Purdue's inability to run the football. They had 100 yards rushing, but E.J. Horton's 31-yard run there on the reverse was part of it too. So I think that's going to be the storyline, and Purdue historically with coaches finding guys that defensive guys that come in here have not historically had success. That doesn't mean that Barry Odom can't. He's just going to have to find a way. When you're really last or second to last in the Big Ten in scoring, and you have the total offense numbers. I know Tom wrote about that this week. We're up. They did not go in a very positive level today. 506 yards for Washington, 267 for Purdue. And the other thing I think was disconcerting, and he mentioned it a little bit, and that I thought was maybe one of the more telling things, was the whole notion that Purdue, the penalties and the lack of discipline. And a couple, it's a very chippy game. Probably had something. Not, a lot of these guys don't know who Ryan Walters, weren't around when Ryan Walters was the head coach at Purdue, but there was probably enough of that around that there was a little bit of chippiness going on. And I think we could have had a drinking game for Ryan Walters. How many times they showed him on TV tonight? For Purdue fans, it might not have been a bad idea, but and to Washington's credit, their defense is pretty good. He's done a really good job there. He's got good players, and he's a good defensive coordinator. We already know that. But that was a little bit troubling to me. And I know Tim Newton asked a question in postgame. Just that lack of discipline, 7 penalties for 64 yards, not an outrageous number, but still, these unsportsmanlike conducts, which there's probably 3 or 4. There were several that were both ways, but that's the thing. You just got to, Barry came in here saying this is something we're going to fix, and that has not been fixed at the level that he would like.
Yeah, and I'm sure Tom was going to ask about.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'll be interested to see what Barry had to say, but to me, I tend to think it's a little bit of just frustration boiling over for how the season's gone. I think that plays into it. I think the whole Ryan Walters aspect of things played into it tonight, and I think that's probably more on the Washington side than the Purdue side, because a lot of these, like you said, didn't play for Ryan Walters, and I don't know that they necessarily cared that they were playing him, but I think the defensive guys for Washington, I think you want to rally around your defensive coordinator, and then I think this probably meant a lot to Ryan Walters as well. Just trying to get a win over the program that fired him less than a year ago. So I think that probably played into things. But you saw Barry Odom. I think each time one of those penalties happened, he kind of grabbed onto the player and didn't yell at him. Just kind of talked to him, and I'm sure had a few choice words that we're not privy to. But yeah, I mean, and that was kind of uncharacteristic because I can't really remember many other unsportsmanlike calls.
No, not that many this year. I haven't seen it. Tom Dienhart is joining us, so we're going to bring him in here. And I'm laughing with you, Mr. Dienhart, as opposed to how was post game with the coach? Since you were pretty much by yourself. What transpired?
Yeah, it was just me, Al. I was kind of lonely.
I
needed Dub or somebody else in there with me. So, yeah, he was pretty brief and to the point. Continued to point the finger at himself, as far as the issues tonight. Said the team didn't compete either. So I think we all saw with our own eyes, right? Just exasperating, I think. And to see him sort of take a big step back. And Barry Odom used that word, guys. He said it was a big step back. And I think he's exactly accurate. So here we are, 11 games into the season. They just took a big step back. They've lost, 9 games in a row now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. The offseason's coming.
Yeah.
And we all know there's a lot of issues, but I think offensively, guys, I'm sure you've discussed it a lot. Just a lot of issues on that side of the ball, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the offense is I think he used, and we're going to use his word. I think they use the word awful. And I think that any indication, and again, these are questions I know, and you're the pro that you are, and you're not going to, hey, what are you going to do at quarterback? We're going to figure that part out. But was there any determination or any comment about quarterback play at all? Just, Singleton appeared to play about 2/3 of the game, obviously through 28 passes to just 6 for Ryan Brown. What do you do, Tom, in 13 days when you play Indiana, who's, like I said, like I was telling Dub, they're going to be a 33-point favorite or so when they come into Ross-Ade Stadium.
You're right. I asked them about the plan for the quarterbacks, what the rhyme or reason is. Is it based on feel? Is it based on what they think they're going to see defensively? The plan was to play Malachi Singleton extensively early on, and we obviously saw that plan materialize, right? To mixed results. He just, quarterback, and you can sit there and 7-on-7 throw against air and look like an All-American, but man, you got to, those windows close so quickly. You got to make snap decisions on where you're going to throw the ball, and you got to deliver it quickly. And it seems like that's something that's missing from him. And often his passes are off target too. Guys are twisting around trying to catch the ball. We saw him underthrow that pass where I'm sitting here early on to Nitro Tuggle that could have gone for a touchdown. And Ryan Brown too. He continues to make a lot of dubious decisions. His first pass, I think he threw in about triple coverage, almost got picked off. Later that same drive, he did get picked off. That's 9 interceptions this year, the most in the Big Ten. He has 9 touchdown passes. That's not the type of TD-INT ratio you want from your quarterback. And again, quarterback just one of many questions a lot of us have about the team. And then if you look at social media and just talk to anybody who watches Purdue football, you wonder about offensive creativity, right?
Yeah.
Twice we saw him on 4th and short just try to be like the 1972 Miami Dolphins and run Larry Zonka right up the middle, like they're going to move the pile or something, like they've ever moved the pile. When have they ever moved the pile? They didn't move the pile. Big shock, right? I think 3 times in the first half they had the ball in plus territory and did nothing with it. Didn't score a point. So that sort of set the stage for what we saw tonight offensively. And I did ask him if there were any positives. I think we can all tip our hat to Spencer Porath.
Oh, he's awesome. 3rd longest field goal in Purdue history. Somebody said it.
3rd longest. Wow.
I think it's
so. There's that.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, he has. It's funny because on radio, Tom, he did talk about how Porath had needed some confidence, and he's come back and shown the ability to become a confident kicker, and he certainly was that today. And it's bad when you're talking about the kicker. So that's it's rough from that standpoint. All right, I did. We've had a question on here that I thought was interesting, and I know Dub has talked about this a little bit too. In terms of coaches being fired, and has the staff started to identify any players from these programs, or do they wait until they are officially in the portal? I think you've talked about that. My guess is there's some checking out going on, but either one of you two guys want to handle it. Dub, I think you've talked about that in the recruiting side.
Well, I mean, I think it's just like if either of us, we could have an employee call us and we don't have to tell you, Alan, right?
Right.
Is that tampering? For some reason, that's tampering in college football. So I think this has been going on for ever since this transfer portal stuff started. There are conversations that are had before guys get in the portal. Coaches will tell you a lot of times players already know where they're going before they even jump in the portal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Players have agents now. The agents can talk. The player may not talk to the other schools, but agents talk to them, just like in the pro ranks. So, yeah, would you want to go jump in the portal blindly if you were a player?
Yeah.
Certainly not. You're going to want to kick some tires and find out who wants you, what the deals are before you jump in the portal, right? So, sure, I'm sure those things are going on at every school right now. They probably have been for several weeks. And the coaching staff, too. Let me ask you guys this. If you were Barry Odom, wouldn't you already be looking at your coaching staff and wondering, man, I wonder where we can get better on my staff? Wouldn't that be a thought that crossed your mind? Certainly, I was talking in the press box with somebody. You can't come back with the same staff if you go 2-10. You just can't. People always want to be shown a head, or maybe two heads, or maybe three heads. They want to be shown something. So I think it'd be foolhardy for anybody to think there's not going to be any changes on the staff moving forward. You think I'm out of line by thinking that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's realistic too in today's world, especially when there can be, and I'm not saying this is a case, because you guys know a heck of a lot more about this than I do, but there can be players associated with coaches coming in too. You never know.
There you go.
And who's to say? And again, I'm not saying that they're going to make a change at offensive coordinator. I have no idea. But if somebody's a quarterback coach that could bring somebody else in, again, we'll wait and see.
I think I got in on the tail end of Dub talking about it. The penalties, right?
Yeah.
I asked Barry about that too, and he pointed out that they kind of been pretty penalty free in recent weeks. And then now we had this spat tonight, and they were pretty embarrassing penalties, if you ask me. Miles Slusher, I think, is a 6th-year senior.
Yeah.
And I guess he was taunting Jed Fish going up and down the sideline there. He didn't play another snap the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Just really disappointing. Then Rico Walker.
Yeah, Rico Walker. What got into him? Because he should have.
The most news he's made all year.
Right?
It's the most news he's made all year.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And he got the warning after the first penalty, and he commits a second one. Just unbelievable. And I don't know. It's just you got to play with poise and discipline. I know everybody gets frustrated. I get frustrated in life. I'm sure you guys do too. Sometimes we do things we regret, or we say things we regret in a fit of anger or just struggles. But man, you just gotta keep it buttoned up. The staff probably really harps on that. But again, that was an issue tonight that really, I think, caught a lot of people off guard.
The thing that's bothersome to me, Tom and Dub, you guys have both competed in athletics, is the notion that when you're getting your butt kicked, keep your mouth shut. I just, when, how embarrassing is it when you're down? I don't know, when Walker got the second one, I don't remember. I was, it was probably 42-6, maybe at that point. It may have been, I've been quite that bad. My point is, don't do that. Just don't do that. And I don't care who you are, don't do that. It's a bad look. And I'm sure that I feel confident that will be a message that Barry Odom will deliver. But these are all signs of problems, though, and a little bit of an a lot of an unraveling tonight. And the frustrating thing is, it's really going to be interesting because talk about a lame duck season. It's a weird deal here. You got a bye week. You really kind of want the season to be over. Let's be honest. You're going to play your rival, who happens to be the number 2 team in the country. I don't know. I don't envy their job to keep this team at the least bit focused heading into a game, a national television game on or a primetime game on Black Friday.
They're gonna have a captive audience on Black Friday.
Yeah, and that doesn't smell good. But Kurt Signetti and the Hoosiers the last couple of weeks today they woke up in the second half and certainly played well. But Mr. Mendoza's trying to win the Heisman Trophy, and again, all these things don't add up. Well, what would it be? It would be one of the greatest upsets in the history of in the history of the Big Ten. If Purdue would somehow find a way to win that game.
It'd be big. How about I got to say just hi real quick to Ryan Walters before the game, and
did you get a chance to talk to him?
Chris Petrelli, the special teams coach, is a good guy, and Austin Carr, one of the old analyst, is out here as well. And Ryan was down there with his family before the game, and you guys, I'm sure he's probably on TV a lot, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, we as Dub, I told Dub it would be if you had to it could have been a drinking game, because he had every time he got mentioned, if you had to drink, you'd have a problem, because he was probably on, I don't know, did you say 6-7 times at least, Dub, I would say. With that white maybe more. But I felt, the broadcast crew was looking for things to talk about too, and I
after a while, man, so you got that long sheet of. Well, if this is a blowout, how deep can I go on my notes here tonight?
Yeah,
and sometimes you were tested on the amount of research they did. So, guys, just again, Barry Odom. I think you guys heard obviously his radio show, right?
Yes.
I was sitting in there when Kelly Kitcher was doing that still, and he said he didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder, God, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know the answer to that one.
Temperature of your team, but hey, man, we're all surprised, right? By people and things that happen in our life that we didn't see coming. This is twice now this year this has happened. I'm not sure which loss was uglier. I'm going to say tonight was uglier. I'm going to say tonight was rock bottom for 2025. And Alan, we always said, and Dub too, one of the ways we were kind of going to measure this team wasn't going to necessarily be with the one-loss record, right? It was going to be how well they competed and fought and battled from game to game. And by and large, they've done that. But, man, tonight and in the Northwestern game just really stand out as such outliers from what we've seen. Maybe that's why it's so alarming and so striking. Is out of the blue now twice this team has laid gigantic eggs, and Barry Odom did not see it coming at all. So I always wonder about maybe not necessarily coaching leadership, but how the team's put together. Mm-hmm. You kind of wonder about locker room and if everybody's always pulling the same direction. You guys have been on teams. Alan, you played sports too. Come on, buddy.
Yeah. I was coached by Bill Barbarian. He wouldn't let us get out of control. Well, and I think, and we're getting some people that want us to ask, hey, you got to ask if he's lost control of the team. Well, we'll probably ask that question. As we head into the Indiana game. We will not have access to Barry this week, correct? Not till Monday. Correct. And my point is, I love that question. It's a great question, but what's he going to say? What he says. Yeah, we're gonna do the best we can to put this together. One other thing I wanted to hit on tonight, just on real quick, and then Tom, I know you got the fish to fry this evening.
It's only 8:40 here, Alan.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, here's your two primetime game. Now, this was FS1 tonight in the Big Ten. 40. What was the final tonight? 49
to 13.
49-13. Ohio State primetime NBC 48-10. And my point is that isn't watchable television. And you have got there. And I know that not every primetime game is this bad, but this is the problem in the Big Ten right now. And Purdue is at the heart of it. And that is not only that, you got to be competitive, but you better be good television at some point. And and Purdue's got time to figure that out. But it's been 2 consecutive years where Purdue's not been good television, and UCLA tonight. I mean, I understand it was Ohio State, but the difference in the haves and the have-nots in the Big Ten are different than that in the SEC, for example. And look at South Carolina today, who Shane Beamer gets fired this afternoon, apparently, after they had a 30-3 lead. My point is, this is a real problem that the Big Ten's got to figure out. It's not a problem to solve for tonight, but I just was trying. I was shuffling. I had my multi-view on when the Purdue game got bad, and was kind of looking over at Ohio State, and it's just not.
I think UCLA's quarterback who didn't play though, he was hurt.
Yeah. And so they had a little bit of an excuse, but my point is, you got to have good TV. And all right, last words, guys, as we head into a bye week, which will be a good respite of sorts for you, for at least not having. Though I think are you gonna have access to Maccabi on Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. Which will be interesting to talk to Devin. But last word, Dub, I'll give you anything else that you want to add to the fray here.
Yeah, Tom said he thinks this is rock bottom for the 2025 season. I'm kind of scared to know what.
I hope he's right.
I can't remember which one of you said it, but the off season's coming, and I think that's going to be big for Purdue. I think they're just going to coast through these last couple of weeks, and then that's when the real work begins. Trying to get this thing turned around and trying to show progress in 2026. And one question for Tom: how was meeting Dubs today? I'm jealous.
Oh yeah, now that was the highlight right there, man.
You did meet him?
So yeah, first of all, I see the dog outside. So
Dubs is the name of the Washington mascot.
Correct? Yeah, and I sent Dub a couple pictures. So I go up to the press box. I'm just getting my stuff set up. And I walk up the stairs, and there's Dubs. I could not believe it. They had him in the press box. They were drying him off. So I just asked the lady if I could get a picture with him. And, yeah, what a beautiful dog. So, yeah. I forgot. Thanks for bringing that up, Dub. But, yeah, I told Dub I wish Dub could have met him. He's Dub and Dub. They wouldn't believe me.
What was the crowd? I mean, I had a couple of people in the stand saying that. It wasn't a great day, and again, obviously Purdue was the opponent, so it was expected. And they've been a little bit of a letdown after losing to Washington. It looked like there were some empty seats or some people, but would that be a fair estimation? Yeah,
there were some empty seats, quite a few. It seemed like, but it was still pretty loud, Alan. And what's crazy is, sitting there talking to the SID before the game at Washington, and he goes, "Oh yeah, in about a minute we're going to roll these windows down. It's going to be open air press box." I go, "What? You got to be kidding me!" So it was like a garage door. They roll the windows up, and they always roll them up for games. And you're sitting in the stands. You got your computer there, so you get the full blast of the noise. And
so you had the 55 degrees in the press box. Did you have?
They rolled them down, man. The only time I'd ever seen that was in the SEC. A lot of those are open air year round, and but the Washington SID says the other place is Oregon, which I haven't been to in years. But Oregon, I guess, is just totally open air. They can't ever close them down at all. But anyway, that was sort of unique tonight too. But anyway, my point being that you could really hear the crowd, even though it wasn't 70,000 people, it still was awfully loud. And I can imagine this place when it really gets revved up for a big game, how crazy it must be.
Yeah. That's one thing I do like being in the radio booth for home games is that, except when it really gets cold, we have it down at least halfway. Tim Newton and Mark Herman like to have it that way, which is fine with me. But if it's 37 degrees for the Indiana game, it'll be closed. So I'm with you on that. Gentlemen, thanks for hanging in there. Tom, may you have no travel issues tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sounds like things went well. You have a nonstop home though, right?
Yeah, I got a nonstopper to Naptown. So, yeah, the travel out here was fine given the government shutdown. So I feel lucky, and we'll see how things go tomorrow. It's good to see you guys, and appreciate always hooking up and hearing what you have to say. And I want to say this too. I'm in the Purdue radio booth, and Nate Barrett sent his best as he was walking out.
Yeah,
the
he
door.
was sending me stuff. He was sending me weather reports, and Nate will be back on with us a week from Friday as we break down Purdue, Indiana. Programming notes too. Purdue men's basketball tomorrow night, 7:30, I think it is, against the Zips. Pretty good little team that will compete, I think, against Purdue tomorrow night. Of course, Purdue on the heels of its huge win over Alabama, and Brian Newbert has made it back to town, which is a good thing. And we'll look forward to his coverage. And
I thought Noobs was going to apply for a job at Buc-ee's there, making.
His postcards were great. I was getting emails from people, and I love these things about. Those were a hit, and that's the good thing about traveling with Brian. See, if you go, he's going to stop a couple places before he gets there, but he's making good use out of it, and that was fun. Conversely to what we saw tonight, it's always a little bit better when you win too, and that did not happen to Purdue tonight. Guys, thanks again so much, and we'll look forward to more. We'll have a Golden Black Radio on Tuesday, no Saturday. Well, we may have some form of Saturday simulcast next week, probably maybe on basketball, but we'll be back recording. We'll have our Saturday simulcast late Friday night on Black Friday after the Purdue-Indiana game. All right, gentlemen, I'll close her up and have a good rest of your evening, and thanks again. All right, I want to thank our sponsors, of course, the Union Club Hotel and Twin City Auto and Chariot Automotive Group. We appreciate them. And a reminder that you can become a member of goldenblack.com. In fact, if you're a YouTube subscriber, you can use PU1 and get 2 months for $1 as your part of your subscription to goldenblack.com. And of course, you can also like us on YouTube. Leave us a positive review. That would be just phenomenal as well. We would appreciate that because that's what makes it goes. And of course, this is also will be on your Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform as well. You can leave us a positive review there as well. Have a great rest of your Saturday evening. Thanks again for taking the time to join us after a really forgettable Purdue football game, and a lot of comments expressed as well. We appreciate those. So have a great rest of your Saturday, and we'll see you you'll see Brian on tomorrow night on his rap video, and don't forget his drive home after the Akron game, and then of course Tuesday Golden Black Radio. And no football, obviously, pregame show because there's no game next week. But lots going on in the world of goldenblack.com, and we appreciate all of you for taking the time to join us. Have a great rest of your Saturday night.
Hey, college football fans, it's time to lock in on those Saturday showdowns with BetMGM. Whether you're betting the underdog or riding with the favorite, take your excitement to the next level with a college football odds boost token. Log into your BetMGM account to receive your token. Then place a bet on any college football matchup with your activated token. If your boosted bet hits, you'll score a bigger payout. Claim your odds boost token and be sure to activate it before placing your bet. The game is about to kick off, so feel the rush and own the moment. BetMGM, make it legendary. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.